Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video, we're going to be talking about the SH Figuarts Gamerverse. That cracks me up every time. Spider-Man. The Gamerverse thing is just... that's definitely somebody in a boardroom came up with that, not somebody who's ever touched a video game. Anyway, we just got the Maximum Spider-Man not that long ago, and people kept trying to say, hey, this is the MVC Spider-Man, and it really wasn't. It came with some accessories that were kind of hinting in that direction, but it definitely wasn't the MVC Spider-Man. It wasn't meant to be. It was definitely more along the lines of a McFarlane-style Spider-Man, or maybe, well, there's a couple arguments for which artist it is, but you get what I'm saying. It wasn't the video game one. This is. It's not officially MVC because they don't have that licensing, apparently. It's strictly Gamerverse. So we'll get to that part in a minute, but this is the video game Spider-Man. For sure, like, we're told that's what it is, and it actually looks like it, so that's good. Now we'll do a little bit of context here. We don't have any other figure arts that match this other than the Cyclops so far, which isn't out yet, but the topic of much contention as far as his height goes. A lot of people don't like the styling. It doesn't match the sprite enough. It looks too much like some of the artwork, and you know what, fair enough. They can make it look like the artwork if they want. I think most people want it to look like the sprites, but whatever. Looks like a good Cyclops figure, probably overpriced, and definitely too short, because there's nothing for it to go with. It's shorter than it needs to be to go with any of the Capcom figures that exist. Okay, and it doesn't fit in with Marvel Legends either, so the height's definitely going to be a problem. Now, for this Spider-Man, we have to assume it's at least in line with Cyclops. We don't have the information on it yet, but it's unlikely that he's suddenly taller. That seems unlikely. So this guy is also going to have that same problem. He doesn't have any Capcom figures to go against. Now you can probably fudge it with Storm Arena, which is I think even a little bit shorter than the SH Figuarts ones, but he's still going to be too small if he's in line with Cyclops. So the scaling is definitely going to be an issue here. But will the figure be good on its own merits such that people will want to buy it? I don't know. We don't know the price. It's going to be expensive like Cyclops, I'm sure. Probably reasonably expensive, I would say, for Bandai, but you never know with Bandai these days. But let's go ahead and talk about the figure. We don't know about accessories yet. We know about one, and I'll talk about that in a second, but maybe another one. But we don't know about accessories, but we do know we have the figure. We can see it. Is it going to be exactly like this? Probably not. Things tend to change at least a little bit, especially for Bandai. Their promo shots often look fairly different from the final release, but it's enough to go on. So we're going to talk about it. Let's first talk about, does it match the game? And yeah, it actually matches the sprite more so than Cyclops. Like, Cyclops doesn't match the sprites at all. Like, really, in color, in anything. Now, for the Spider-Man, he actually does. He doesn't match the artwork. The color in the artwork doesn't match this at all. So at least they got the color down for the sprite. So that's really good. And then there's some artwork that kind of goes with this sculpt, but it looks to me like it's mostly based on the sprites. Or sprites, whatever. Which is weird because Cyclops doesn't match that. So they kind of don't go together well. That's a weird thing, because like Spider-Man looks fantastic. I mean, overall, this is a very exciting release. It's thrilling to finally get a Spider-Man that actually looks comic-y and stylized and video gamey and just like all of the cool and fun packed into the design, rather than what we've been getting with his counterparts, which we will talk about in a minute. So I'm thrilled with this, but it is strange that he more or less, now the blues don't really match, but they're close, he more or less matches the sprite, and I think that's pretty awesome. So we have that. On the other hand, the sculpt on this guy is really soft. Really, really soft. He's got very, very little muscle definition. Obviously, it's there. The shapes are there. But it's there's no, like, line work, really, at all. If this guy was just a drawing, he'd have a few lines on him, and that's it. So that's a little bit strange. I don't think it's a huge deal. It's definitely not a deal breaker by any means. He's going to look cool, and he does have the muscles, but if you look at his chest, for instance, or even the top part of his thighs, the muscle definition is just minimal. So that's a little bit concerning. It may make him look weird in some poses, or you may not notice it at all. It's going to be hard to say until we have that in hand. But that's definitely something I noticed. We do have the sculpted web lines, which look fantastic. That's great. Love that. And I love the head sculpt. I think it is just superb. I think we actually have two different ones that we see on here. I think the one with the spider sense is actually a different sculpt. It's hard to say because of the different angles and things, but maybe not. I don't know for sure. But we at least get one, at least one good head sculpt, and maybe two, maybe even more, who knows. So I like that a whole bunch. And I love the proportioning. It does have a very stylized look. It's going to easily represent the video game Spider-Man, so that's great. However, if we're talking about the aesthetic, which we are, why does Bandai feel the need to chop up the legs like that? You can do thigh cuts without making a giant overlay. The lower part of the thigh does not need to slip over the upper part. It's not super noticeable in some of the shots. Like sometimes you can't even tell. I mean, that's really generous photography, but in other shots you can definitely tell, and it makes his legs look weird, and you just don't need that step. It can be smooth. It can be a flush seam. So that's unfortunate. I don't care for that at all. The butterfly joint on this guy doesn't look great. It doesn't break up the sculpt too much, but it looks like it's not going to have a significant amount of range. So there's that. And then the shoulders, they look like they have the big cap with the little hinge inside. Again, not a great design. You're going to end up with funny looking armpits. Now, none of these shots really show the armpits effectively, so who knows? It might not be terrible. It doesn't look like it's going to be terrible, but it doesn't look like it's going to be ideal. And they have changed joints sometimes from promo images to final release, so it may be fine, but it is something to look out for. The shoulders may be a little bit weird. The arms look good otherwise. Legs look fine otherwise, other than that weird thigh cut. But we do have the crotch, which I don't mind personally. Everybody talks about the thongs. Like, I don't care. If it's done properly, it gives you the articulation. And like, it might look a little bit weird in the neutral because it is cut up plastic and there's a thong shape on there, but it just looks like articulation to me, and it doesn't bother me. I don't mind that at all. And it's better than having a giant thigh gap. So that's fine by me. But the waist is definitely concerning because they didn't put the red part on the bottom. So one, the red part's going to tuck in and that's not going to look as good. I think it's always better to put the red part on the fixed piece of crotch. That way when you move him around, the red part stays there and you don't lose that. But more concerning is just there's not enough plastic there. That lower torso doesn't have anywhere to move as far as I can tell, which is interesting because it does have range in some of these photos. But if you look at the thong piece between that hip cap and the torso, there's like 3 millimeters of space of thong piece. So I don't know where that can go. Obviously you can rotate his legs all the way forward, so that's good. And then you can lean that lower torso, but it gets mechanical and weird looking, and it has to extend. It can't tuck in, not really. So that's a really concerning situation. His lower torso may have very minimal range, or it may get really ugly. It's really hard to say. Obviously, we don't have that many photos, but it is concerning. The engineering from Bandai has been very suspect lately, so I guess we'll see. But everything else looks pretty standard, like bog standard articulation everywhere. As long as they execute, that'll be fine. So I'm very optimistic about this. Other than, honestly, the thigh cuts are ugly, but they're gonna do that either way. And the crotch could be maybe not a problem for the legs, but maybe a problem for the torso. So we'll have to see about that. Now, obviously, we do have the iconic MVC pose here. Can he actually do that without being supported? I doubt it. That looks like he's leaning very far forward, and maybe he can. Maybe he can balance really well, and maybe it's not as... I don't think so. I was going to say maybe it's not as far forward as it looks like it is. Like, in order to get that pose, that's very hard to achieve. They achieved it, so that's good. Will he be able to balance on his own? I don't think so. But we'll see. Maybe if they bring his right leg forward some, because like it doesn't quite match the sprite, honestly. He's got his foot really far out. Maybe he can hold it. Maybe he can hold himself up and hold that pose and it'll be fine. I hope so. But he can hit it at least. If nothing else, he can hit it. But if he can't do it without a support, then that kind of sucks. We'll see. But either way, he does look good doing it. Every time I've achieved that pose with a Spider-Man figure, it takes a generous angle, a photography angle, to make it look quite right. So at least he can do that, so that's a good thing. So on its own merits, it looks like the articulation is going to work well enough. It looks like he's going to look good enough. It may not be perfect. We have a few issues here and there, but I think we have a very substantially good figure. Maybe not excellent, maybe not great, but certainly good enough. And that leads me to my next point. What is he going against? Realistically, we're not even going to count Revoltech. Like, you can, but it doesn't look the same at all. It looks like a robot. Even, like, because the Spider Armor 2.0 or whatever it was, the 2.0 Spider-Man, whatever armor it was, I don't remember. The one I liked a whole bunch, it still looks like a Revoltech figure, so I'm not even going to count that. Like, it'll hit poses better, probably. But it doesn't look the same, so we're just going to discount that. If you like Revoltech, go ahead. But I'm going to compare this most closely to the Mafex, and then also, because Hasbro decided to make their figures expensive, we can compare it against the Marvel Legends Maximum Spider-Man. So as far as going against Mafex, if you ask me, this thing wins hands down. The Mafex one is a solid figure for sure. There's plenty of them at this point, different varieties and whatnot. But it has no muscle mass at all. It's the usual older, slender style Mafex figure, and it can pose pretty well, but they do have those problematic hips, and it's a good figure, but I don't think it competes to this. It might win in height, maybe accessories, but I don't think this one has any competition from Mafex, realistically speaking. The Mafex is good, and if you have it, that's fine, but this one definitely looks better. It has actual muscle mass, and looks like it can pose way nicer. So, can it compete against the Marvel Legends Maximum? This doesn't probably have Maximum in the title, so it's gonna be stiff competition. No, I don't think there's much competition either, because even though the Maximum one is good for a Marvel Legends figure, it looks good for Marvel Legends, it's still riddled with Hasbro everything. It still has the really wide thighs and strange shapes and bad paint jobs and all that kind of stuff. And I think there's no contest for that either. Now, maybe size. Again, if this thing is small like we think it's probably going to be, it doesn't look that small, but it could very well be. It's hard to say for sure. That's going to be a problem. But just figure to figure, not counting scaling, there's no way that this isn't far and away better than the Maximum figure. The Maximum figure looks like a good Hasbro product, not a good product. This looks like it's probably a good product with a few questionable designs. So, for me, I mean, I'm keeping my Revoltech one, and I'm going to keep my Mafex one, and I'm going to keep my Hasbro one. But this is definitely the best choice if you want anything close to MVC Spider-Man, which it is. So, yeah, I don't see anybody going like, yeah, I don't need it. I don't think so. If people bought the Maximum figure, there's no way they're not going to buy this. And what other people buy probably doesn't matter to most people, but I guess my point is it's going to be successful. Unless they somehow, well, no, I was going to say unless they screw it up completely, but we won't know until it comes out, and I'm guessing most people are still going to buy it anyway. Like, people are thrilled to buy the Maximum figure, and it was just whatever. It was like average quality, so I think this is going to be a home run. I think it looks pretty darn good. And the only thing left to talk about would be accessories, which, like, the Maximum has a ton. Mafex has a decent amount. I don't think the accessories are really the selling point for any of these figures. That's why I'm just kind of tacking it on here at the end. I do think his web shield looks really nice. It definitely looks better than the Hasbro one. So that's good. I like that. We did the Spider Sense, which I don't think looks very good. I hope they do something about that. That does not look good. I don't like it. Let me know what you guys think, but that looks cheap as heck. Having the giant half circle, semicircle, like, cut it around the little energy effect parts or whatever, something to make it look nicer. That looks crappy. And then this thing, I don't know what this is. Are they just including cardboard? Are we actually going to get a giant web effect? What is this? I don't know. I guess we'll see. So we don't know. We know he's going to have some hands and maybe a couple of heads. So accessory-wise, I'm sure it'll be fine. Bandai doesn't usually screw up too bad other than giving Dragon Ball figures effect parts, but it'll be fine. So let's just do a quick roundup here. Is it going to look good? Yeah, I think it looks really good with a few caveats. Is it going to pose well enough? Yes, I think it's going to pose plenty well with a few caveats. Is it going to be better than its competition? I think mostly. I think for every single competitor, it's going to have some edge over it. And for most of them, or at least those two, a lot of an edge over it. And even over the Revoltech, it looks way better. So, yeah, I think this is a strong release probably from Bandai. But the big caveat is the scale. Is it going to be too damn small to mix in with other figures? Because I don't know about you guys, and maybe we'll do a question of the day. How many of you guys out there like to mix and match your lines of figures? For me, it's a for sure yes. I love to do that. The more figures in the same scale, the better. But particularly for something like Gamerverse, the whole point is mixing them. The whole point of Marvel vs. Capcom is mixing the figures. So if they're out of scale, then that sucks. I think everybody's going to buy it anyway because it's going to maybe be the best Spider-Man figure out. But if it's too small and you can't mix it, then it's just going to be a standalone release, and that blows. That blows a lot, I think. But I'm curious what you guys think. So, yeah, I'm excited. Pre-orders are going up soon, so we'll know pricing soon. But I'm guessing it's going to be like $70 US. I'm guessing. Maybe more, though. I wouldn't be surprised. Hasbro. Bandai's been pushing the limits, so we'll see. But I think it looks good. I'll wrap it up with that. I think it looks really good. I'm really worried about the scale, and a few of those other issues bother me, but, you know, every figure's going to have issues, so that's the way it goes. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, but that's it for me. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down, and if you haven't subscribed, you should. I have new videos just about every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that, and in the meantime, keep collecting.